Well, we can't say it enough. Irma is massive. In fact, as I mentioned earlier at the top of the broadcast, it's the size of Texas, far larger than Hurricane Andrew, which hit Florida 25 years ago. CBS News weather producer David Parkinson joins us now with the latest. So, Davis, give us a sense of the storm right now. Where's it headed? What's the track?
So the sense of the storm right now is it is slowing down. It is moving west. It looks less impressive on satellite. It is easier to be lulled into a false sense of security with this storm. And that is not what I want people to do, because as this is starting to make its right-hand turn, the waters of the Straits of Florida are incredibly warm, and it will intensify rapidly. It will go back from a 3 to a 4. The storm surge risk out of this storm is much worse. I mean, the senior scientist of the National Hurricane Center Surge Unit put out a tweet that said this is as life-threatening as it gets. Wow. And it is. 10 to 15 foot storm surge puts it on a Katrina and an Ike level for Southwest Florida. You know, I was talking with Jonathan and his producer.
John Vigliotti.
Right, John Vigliotti and his producer, and we were talking about this guy who they interviewed, and you know, whether or not he was in a safe spot. And as the maps continue to get updated, it gets worse and worse for them. And I just don't know how much else I can say other than if you are in an area where there is a threat of storm surge, you can't ride that out in a bathroom. You can't ride that out anywhere. Storm surge is the most deadly part of a hurricane because people underestimate it. And you still have time if you're in Southwest Florida to get out. So please do. If you're in the Keys, it's too late. If you're in Key West...
They've been saying this for some time. This isn't something we just found out in the last hour.
Right, no.
The Keys.
Right, I mean, it's been since 10 a.m., right? Get to the place of last resort if you have to, but you've made your choice. The folks in Southwest Florida still have a choice to make, and they need to make the right one.
Now, David, can you explain? I mean, I was tracking this overnight, and I just didn't understand why you go from 3 to a 4 and switching back and forth. What's causing that?
So it has decreased in strength right now because it has gone over the land of Cuba, and it has gone over mountainous land of Cuba, which is one of the things that hurricanes hate because it disrupts the airflow there. So you have a much less intense looking storm on satellite. You have a much less cohesive storm, if you will.
So when it hits land, it makes it slow down a little bit.
Correct, it slows down, the wind speeds slow down. It's just not as organized. As soon as it gets over that warm water, it's going to act like a turbocharger. And the problem is, the farther west it drifts, the longer it's over water, over the Straits of Florida and over the Gulf of Mexico, the longer it can re-intensify. And that's the problem. This thing keeps going a little bit further west. It keeps looking like it's going to parallel the coast, which means more places are going to see that storm surge. And you just have a really dangerous situation that's going to be unfolding over the next 12 to 24 hours.
So right now, for the folks in Florida, who are most at risk at this hour?
So I would say from Tampa down to Naples, that is where you are most at risk. If you're on the eastern side of the state, you're absolutely going to have storm surge. They've already got a foot in Miami. You're absolutely going to have at least hurricane force winds. But you can see in this storm surge map that greater than 9, that graphic we built a couple of hours ago, that's now like 10 to 15 if you're in that red area.
Wow, so the red area is now 10 to 15 feet.
Correct. So these numbers keep going up. We're running out of sort of colors on their charts that they automated. They make in an automated fashion. So it is absolute worst case scenario for Southwest Florida. For Southeast Florida, you're still on the right side of the storm. You still get tornadoes. You still get hurricane force winds, and I think we have that on O if they can throw that one up. And you can see just the bands of winds that we have for folks. You're looking at least Category 1 strength in much of Central Florida. You're looking at least Category 2 in the Tampa area. So that's winds over 110 miles an hour. You're looking at some really serious winds that are just starting to pick up now and will continue to get worse.
We talk about Category 4s, Category 5s, but when you talk about Category 2, it's still really dangerous.
Right, and people are like, oh, I can ride out a Category 2. Category 2 is no big deal. And yes, your odds are better, but again, this comes down to a simple, why would you take the chance? You know, what value do you place on your life? Like, put aside your pride and realize that these storms kill people because, not because we didn't forecast them right, not because people didn't know what was coming, but because they chose to think they were stronger than the storm.
As you said earlier, you can't ride out storm surge.
No.
Oh, if we could put back on the map, this isn't all we're concerned about, Irma. We've got Jose and Katia. What are they doing right now, David?
So that's Jose. So forgive us for making this look over as if this were a loop of Irma from a couple of days ago, because it looks just like now. The good news is that Jose has skipped a little bit to the north. So Jose is now they've dropped some of the warnings in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but it's just skimming past Barbuda there. And that's going to, fortunately, move up a little bit to the north, and then we think it's going to get bottled up there. So then the big question is, where does it go? And we're a little far out from that one. Kacha is affecting Mexico. It's off the side of this map. But again, that one in the upper left corner of that radar map there and satellite map there, that's exactly what we need to be focused on.
And not exactly what Mexico needs after an earthquake.
No, not at all. And the only fortunate thing is that it is not, and this is a terrible thing to say, it's that it's not impacting Texas. So they are keeping their chance to dry out. But the folks of Florida, the other thing that I haven't mentioned is we talk about this being a surge in a wind event. Look, it's still going to rain 12 to 18 inches. It's still a foot to a foot and a half of rain. All of the threats from a storm are in play, but the ones that people are most threatened by, and that's what we're emphasizing, is the surge and the wind.
We've got to go, but what are the critical times right now for Florida that we're looking at in the next 24 to 48 hours?
So the critical times, Sunday morning is landfall in the Keys or just around the Keys, and then it would be in the afternoon into evening that it would be in southwest Florida, and then up around the Tampa area on Monday morning. So you got a little bit more time if you're in the Tampa area. We've got a lot more storm surge that's coming in that area as well. So you still have time to make some movements there, but your hours are running out in southwest Florida.
Got to get a plan.
Yep.
Thank you so much, David Parkinson. We'll check back with you throughout the afternoon.